Hey everybody! JK Calloway here at Real JK Calloway. See the lighting? See that? Put my hand up, I get dark. Oh, I'm light. I'm dark. I'm light. Over here. Anyway. Siobhan. He's my wife. I don't know why I went Borat on that, but I did. So we're going to review another Wrestling with Wregret video because Brian Zane's awesome. But we've never done one of these before. It's a TNA storyline.
Which I know even more.
She knows nothing about TNA. Who's the biggest star who's ever been in TNA? Biggest name ever?
Matt Hardy.
That's where he started the broken Matt Hardy thing. Sure, yeah. Good for you. Who's the biggest name?
Triple H.
Never. No, not so much. No. Who's the current WWE champion?
It's a good question.
Who's your favorite wrestler because of what they think about the Earth?
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles. He was in TNA for a long time. Kind of started TNA. It was their first hire. Yeah. Speaking of AJ,
smart people.
We're gonna look at the Claire Lynch storyline that Wrestling and Regret covered. So, if any the people who watch this are gonna know what that is. You don't.
Nope.
I only know a little, so it's gonna be interesting. You ready?
No.
Here we go.
Hello everyone, this is Bill Apter, and you're watching Wrestling with Regret.
You don't know who that is, I'm guessing. Long time wrestling journalist.
Look, he was wearing Zubas.
What?
In the opening, there's...
He was wearing Zub. Oh, okay. You ready for the fun?
Nope.
You know what I love about bad writing in wrestling? It doesn't discriminate. It can affect everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a good wrestler or a bad wrestler, if you're a man or a woman, black or white, been in the business 5 months or 10 years, doesn't matter. No matter who you are, you can always count on being given at least one crappy storyline. Seriously, go back in time and pick a wrestler, any wrestler. Think about all the angles they've ever been involved in, and there's always at least one stinker to their name. I honestly can't come up with one person, even the all-time greats, who hasn't been involved in something bad. No one is immune to a crappy gimmick or angle. It's as inevitable as death and taxes. But as bad as a storyline may seem, the best thing a good worker can do is to grin and bear it and just try to make it work. It's the mark of a true professional. You just have to, try to come up with the appropriate saying. Go with this. You just have to do the right thing easy for our baby! What she said. If you follow this channel long enough, you know I don't talk much about Impact on here. It's not due to any kind of bias, I just try and comment on what I know best. And Lord knows on the rare occasion I do make fun of something they've done, the diehards come out of the woodwork to call me a WWE fanboy. Yeah, that's why I make fun of them 95% of the time. But I really can't believe I've gone this long without talking about the Claire Lynch storyline. It's one of the dumbest angles Impact has ever conceived, sure, but it's not just an Impact thing. The fact is, something this bad transcends promotional boundaries. This had as much of a chance of being signed off by Vince McMahon as it was by Dixie Carter. There's a part of me that imagines Vince kicking himself because he didn't think of it first. Think about what else the company was doing around this time. Hulk and Brooke Hogan were running the show, Aces and Eights were running roughshod on the entire roster with no idea who they actually were, and oh yeah, the Bound for Glory series was encompassing all the in-ring action, but this is the best they could do with AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels. Honestly, it's hard not to make fun. So what happens when you take 3 of arguably the best performers in the history of the promotion and give them a storyline so trashy and terrible it gets the fans to chant this? You're about to find out. This is the Claire Lynch storyline. I think a Maury chant would have been more appropriate there. The angle began back in January of 2012 when Christopher Daniels convinced Kazarian to turn his back on AJ Styles, effectively ending the Fortune stable. In the months that followed, bad influence remained a thorn in AJ's side, frequently referencing some kind of secret AJ was hiding. Things finally ramped up in early May when Chris and Kaz threatened to expose the secret if AJ didn't come out with it himself. On the Impact Before Sacrifice, the two revealed a series of pictures that appear to show Styles being affectionate with then-President Dixie Carter, accusing AJ of sleeping with the boss in order to get ahead in wrestling. Obviously an attempt to grab that lucrative demographic that also watched Sex and the City and Cougar Town. And if you think I'm kidding, just hear some of the first words out of AJ's mouth in response to the allegations and tell me this wasn't meant to get Dixie over as a wanton sex goddess.
So I can understand how this can get misconstrued. Dixie Carter is a beautiful, wealthy woman.
Despite AJ's insistence, Bad Influence doubled down on their accusations, revealing damning footage of he and Dixie walking into a hotel room together and a recording of a phone call that seemed to imply some impropriety.
Well, let me ask you something. Since we're driving in, how long do you think it will be before Serge gets there?
I just wanted to know how long to play on his Xbox before I had to share it with him. On the June 7th edition of Impact, things reached a boiling point when Dixie's real-life husband punched AJ in his phenomenal face. Look at all these men fighting over this soccer mom. That's gonna sell tickets! In an era where storylines often take huge leaps on a week-to-week basis, it was kind of surprising and, dare I say, refreshing to see Impact really take their time with this one, teasing the secret for months and months until the big reveal finally reaching its apex with this huge emotional moment. Well, don't get used to it, because after this point, things move along at a breakneck speed. As the weeks went on, Styles' performance in the ring was suffering as he was distracted by the allegations. On the June 21st Impact, he and Dixie came out to the ring to tell the truth about their relationship, when suddenly, out comes this random pregnant lady we've never seen before.
My name's Claire Lynch. You don't know me, and I'm an addict.
Ma'am, the AA meeting is in the soundstage next door. This show marked the debut of Claire Lynch, who tells everyone that AJ and Dixie were not having an affair, but rather working together in secret to help Claire work through her addictions and get her to rehab. She says that she's known both of them for years, but it's never revealed exactly how. Bad Influence sees their plans go up in smoke, and everything seems to be resolved. Oh, but wait, it gets stranger. A whole lot stranger. The next week, Daniels and Kazarian faced off with Styles and Kurt Angle in a rematch of the TNA Tag Titles, which had changed hands 3 weeks prior at Slammiversary 10. Bad Influence would regain the championships, then drop a bombshell that was even bigger than their original claims.
The bastard's daddy is AJ Styles!
Wow, Dixie's really... upset? Is that what she's going for? Having a hard time reading her. So in the span of a mere 7 days, we go from, here's Claire Lynch, this woman you've never seen before and know nothing about, to AJ is the father of her baby. That'd be like if you debuted Stephanie McMahon 1 week and had her marry Triple H the next. You have to let things simmer a bit. 2 weeks later, Claire confirmed Christopher and Kaz's claims of crack baby conception, courtesy of Styles.
You are the father of this baby, AJ!
It's at this point Claire also turned heel, sitting at ringside in all those matches and just glaring at him, even producing evidence of what they had done.
You had some drinks too, all right? I know you don't really drink, but you drank that night. It was a passionate, hot night, AJ. I can't believe that you don't remember this.
It was hot. It was passionate. It tasted great. Wait, are we sure AJ's supposed to be the baby daddy? In the pictures, you can see the two of them together in bed, but alcohol is in plain sight, and AJ is clearly out of it, while Claire looks totally fine. So what they're saying here basically is that Styles got date raped. Yep, that's what I want to see in my wrestling. With all these moments featuring physical photographs and footage from a tablet computer, this has to be the worst storyline for fans seeing all this in the live audience. What also makes this storyline unique, aside from the multimedia journey we've been on so far, is that it had a surprisingly passive effect on the actual wrestling. I expect to see Claire showing up at ringside and distracting AJ during matches, but besides some cutaways of her sitting at ringside and glaring, she had no bearing on the action. She didn't even show up for pay-per-views. Whenever AJ lost a match, it was always written off as his mind being elsewhere, which makes sense. It's better than having an actress with no experience in wrestling getting physically involved, but... Wait, am I actually praising something about this storyline? Ugh. Moving on, the absurdity reached its high point on August 2nd when Kazarian and Daniels threw Claire a baby shower. There were diapers, a collection of TNA action figures, and an AJ Styles baby doll. Now that's an untapped merchandising goldmine just waiting to happen. Why have wrestling companies never tried making baby doll versions of wrestlers? Oh my god, no thank you!
This baby is coming. And I need you to do the right thing, AJ!
Holy crap, you can hear a pin drop in that arena. I've never heard a crowd more silent in my life, and I've been part of shows with more people in the locker room than the audience. But then things got really interesting in ways nobody could have expected. The greatest twist in this sordid plot came when Claire Lynch, the woman around whom this entire ridiculous storyline revolved, quit the company. What?
Oh.
So here's what happened. Apparently between Impact tapings, the guys over at Live Audio Wrestling revealed the name of the actress portraying Lynch, a woman named Julia Riley. It turns out she has an extensive demo reel as a spokeswoman for various products and services.
I'm Julia, your local Goodwill stylist, and I'm finding awesome bargains on great styles. Welcome to Melange, a unique all-you-can-eat dining experience. It comes down to what's best for your lifestyle right now.
Not only that, but our most recent gig before this one was the role of Olive Oil at Universal Studios. But it wasn't that dastardly Bluto that ran her out of Impact. It was the internet wrestling fan hive mind who descended upon her professional website and did what you would expect. The fans trashed her, her acting, her appearance, and most perplexing, the actions of her character, which were, for those keeping score at home, not real. So instead of putting up with more harassment from the bottom feeders of the fan base, Riley walked away from the job entirely and scrubbed her online presence to avoid being looked at negatively by potential casting agencies. So, good job, Internet! Now being forced to resolve this garbage fire as fast as possible, on the August 16th episode of Impact, Styles challenged Daniels to another match with some truly bizarre stipulations.
You beat me tonight, Chris, and I'll accept that I'm the father of Claire's child. When I beat you, I'll get the points.
That's
And
interesting.
I'm getting a paternity test.
First of all, conceding fatherhood has to be one of the strangest steps I've ever heard in my life. Second, and most importantly, no one was stopping AJ from taking a paternity test to begin with. In fact, the onus should have been on him to do it from the beginning. The only reason he wouldn't have would be if Claire had barred her from taking one, which would have immediately cast suspicion on her. And third, suppose he wins the match, takes the test, and finds out he actually is the father of the baby after all. That's a terrible incentive for you, man! Anyway, Styles beat Daniels that night and was one step closer to possibly implicating himself in an extramarital affair yet again. The following week, before the results could be announced, out comes another mystery woman, the second one of the storyline, I might add. The woman who had been anything was Dixie Carter's sister declared herself as the attorney of Claire Lynch. Well, obviously, I mean, come on, she's holding a briefcase. Way to hit us over the head with visuals, am I right? Through a written statement read by the lawyer, Claire Lynch explains that she basically had to go back to her home planet.
I was approached by Mr. Daniels and Mr. Kazarian to be part of a scheme to frame and ultimately blackmail Mr. AJ Styles. I am not, nor have ever been, pregnant.
So thanks to the power of attorney, literally, AJ is finally vindicated and the heels exposed, which sure makes you wonder what the point of fighting for a paternity test was if they were just going to explain everything away the next week before the results came out. Damn, TNA, do you have to make everything harder than it needs to be? So Claire was never mentioned again. The angle somehow morphed into a three-team feud for the titles with Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero, and it wasn't too long before AJ got the hell out of the company, and not a moment too soon. But hey, it was just another day for the show that was named 2012's Best Weekly Program by the Wrestling Observer. Look, I know not all storylines on Impact are this bad. I know there's lots of evidence of great stuff this promotion's done over the years. But hey, this show's called Wrestling with Regret, so don't be mad that I'm covering this garbage. From the beginning, this made no sense. For years, AJ had been portrayed, correctly so mind you, as a loving and devoted family man. The allegations of an affair with Dixie and then with Claire were way too hard to believe for there to be any emotional stake in it for the fans. It felt about as natural as Lana and Rusev feuding with each other while everyone knew the two were a couple. And much like their saga, it took a real-life event to mercifully torpedo the whole thing with the Lynch storyline. Further confusing matters was the bait and switch with Dixie Carter. If Claire was part of the plot from the beginning, and the seeds were being planted by making it look like AJ and Dixie were having an affair, it sure is convenient that it looked like AJ and Dixie were having an affair. By the way, Dixie pieced the hell out of this angle the minute the baby daddy stuff came up, and why shouldn't she? Nobody was fighting over her anymore. Julia Riley's walkout did the angle no favors and forced them to wrap things up in a very blunt manner, but I can't imagine how much better things would have gone had she stuck around. Would they have done the paternity test match on a pay-per-view? Would Lynch have tried to accost AJ that match? Would AJ have won, then been declared to have not been the father? I guess we'll never know. In a way, Claire Lynch's quitting was both a gift and a curse to the storyline. Even though I feel bad for AJ, Kazarian, and Daniels for having to work with this dribble, I feel worse for the woman at the center of all this. Simply put, Julia Riley entered a world she was not prepared for, and she didn't know how to handle the blowback from the fans, which I wouldn't expect her to. According to Daniels and Kazarian, it sounds like TNA kept her in the dark about all this.
They didn't tell her exactly what she was going to do when she was auditioning.
Sure.
And so it was like, hey, you got the job. Hey, you have to be a crackhead. Hey, you're going to pretend that you're pregnant.
Not only was this angle insulting to anyone with a brain, it was for people with eyes as well. There was this concerted effort to say, there's no way AJ could have possibly slept with Claire because she's so unattractive. And that sentiment sure picked up when she left.
She was a nice gal, but she was not She was not someone that AJ would have been tempted to sleep with other than his wife. They didn't want a girl better looking than Dixie.
I always thought he had better taste in women. I mean, did you ever get a good look at Claire?
She looks like the lizard.
You both know I was drugged.
Really?
I mean, God knows I'd have to be to sleep with a foot like Claire.
Not only is that just rude,
They didn't
it's not
write
even
it.
accurate. Julia Riley is by no means ugly, but her character certainly was. Not even Scarlett Johansson could be considered attractive if she had to cry and cast mean looks at people all the time. Nobody looks good when they're crying.
Big show.
You know what? I stand corrected.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I don't get the whole if I lose, I'll concede that the child is mine.
Right. What?
Huh?
Like, there's been plenty of stupid story with kids involved in pregnancy. Like, that's just so weird.
If I lose, the kid is mine.
I feel bad for the actress.
Yeah. Yeah, that's no.
She's not ugly at all. She was very lovely.
Yeah.
Anyway, how'd that make you feel? Wrestling's
Confused.
awesome, isn't it?
I'm just such an infantile storyline.
A little bit.
How stupid do they think their viewers are?
TNA, back then, yeah, they probably thought they were pretty stupid. Safe bet. I should catch you up on more TNA, but then I'd have to catch up on TNA, and I don't wanna. Sounds awful. So yeah, thanks for watching. There's JK Calloway. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what's a worse storyline from TNA. What's worse? Tell me something that's worse than that, and I'll make her review it, because it'd be super fun for me. Let's throw logic out of your brain altogether. Yeah. Anyway, this is Siobhan.
That's me.
At Calloway Teacher on Twitter. Give her a follow. She's adorable. And she's quite funny. So, huh. Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure you do hit subscribe. Should be right around here. Check out my latest video. It'll be over there. Find me on other social media sites. Always Real JK Calloway. Give a follow to my personal hashtag game on Twitter. It's at #skirmish. And check out the hashtag Roundup app. All the best weekly hashtag games, including mine. My name's JK Calloway, and we'll talk to you next time.